Jill Stein was arrested in Missouri last week. We'll see what comes of that. But she was asked on CNN to talk about her experience and the cause more broadly, and she laid it down for him. So let's take a look. This is an edited compilation of her greatest hits on CNN.
Zionism is different from Judaism, and it is entirely wrong to conflate the two. Being against Zionism, which I regard as essentially a matter of ethnic cleansing and land theft, essentially. That is the purpose of Zionism, to take land that belonged to other people. Yes, Jews have been horribly traumatized and victimized, but that doesn't then allow one group to take land and displace another group. To look at the actions of the Israeli government, they are attempting to drive the occupants out of this land altogether. And that has been very much the policy of Israel well before it was a state. Since the Zionist movement began, Jews who lived together with Muslims and Christians in Palestine for centuries. And it was a peaceful place. It was only with the advent of the Zionists, who felt like this land belonged to them, that the violence came. And many Jews left, as well as Christians and Palestinians, with the entry of the Zionists. This is a very difficult topic for people of Jewish background to come to terms with. And I see this as someone who grew up in the 60s. I see this as remarkably similar to the very difficult wake up of the white community with the civil rights movement in the 1960s. This was
the look you get on your face when you see your entire career flashing before your eyes.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Should I let her keep going? If I interject, am I going to lose all credibility in my community that I have left?
Well, you'll see. She kind of splits the difference. She kind of just plays out to the end. She kind of just plays the segment out. She doesn't actually respond to anything she says. She just ends with, well, this was a thought-provoking dialogue.
Well, different people have different opinions about this.
Yes, that's what she says.
A difficult conversation that involved confronting the many institutions of white supremacy and the very challenging conditions of racism that were endemic, in our schools, in housing, and so on. It's a hard conversation.
Yeah, I hear you. See how you could see when she starts bringing up the civil rights movement and the struggle to achieve racial equity here. You see what she kind of looks down. Okay, now this is really bad.
This is bad.
I really have to figure out a way to wrap this up.
Very challenging conditions of racism that were endemic, in our schools, in housing, and so on. It's a hard conversation, but it has to be had, and it cannot be shut down.
I hear varying different viewpoints on the complexity of this issue and personal opinions to that regard, and I do wonder if politics considers each and every aspect of it. My suspicions is that it does not, but this conversation has been very thought-provoking for me today. Thank you for joining us.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. We'll be back.
Absolutely nothing while filling time.
Exactly. That's how you do it on CNN. Now, that was edited, but if you watch the segment, that is more or less what she says in real time. I had the unedited version. In fact, let's actually, since we're on this, let's take a look at the unedited, just so we don't get accused of any fuckery here, version of how she stalls for time
Zionism
at the end of this. So here, let's look. What is this? About 30 more seconds. When did she start talking? Right about now. All right, let's see this.
To be had, and it cannot be shut down.
So this is the
really
unedited
important to have it,
ending.
especially because our tax dollars are funding this war, which the American people vehemently protest.
Well, this is the interesting thing about politics and generalizations. There are so many people who, and I often hear this in my line of work, as I'm sure you do as well, that I hear varying different viewpoints on the complexity of this issue and personal opinions to that regard. And I do wonder if politics considers each and every aspect of it. My suspicions is that it does not, but this conversation has been very thought-provoking for me today. Thank you for joining us.
4, 3, 2, 1, and out. Oh, whew, thank God.
Okay,
there is great significance to the passage of time. That's one of those things, right? How do I just fill the space with sound so that we get to commercial without me taking a position one way or another? Because I can't embarrass myself to the point of pushing back, since she very correctly invoked the civil rights struggle here to the Palestinian struggle.
Yep.
So I can't push back on that, because then I just lose too much credibility as a black woman.
Not if I ever want to go home for the holidays again.
Exactly. But I can't tell her I agree, because then I'm in trouble here at CNN. So how do I just fill the space, get to break, run a few car commercials, come back, talk about how Donald Trump is behaving badly in the court, and call it a night? Yeah. But good job by Jill Stein there, taking him to school, and look good on her for getting arrested. Like, the other thing is, like, you know, she's an effective advocate. I respect Jill Stein. It's a shame that, like, electoral politics just kind of makes who I consider serious people do very unserious, you know, things, right? It really does bring out the worst in people. Like, when she gets involved in the campaign, sure, she brings Peter Dow into Cornell's campaign, which causes some problems. And she says, well, I didn't know who he was or what he was about until just now. I just learned about it, which can't possibly be true. Like, it just makes such an ass of people. Like, why can't, like, you almost wish she would just be an advocate and an activist.
But then she'd have no platform.
Then you'd have no platform. So this is like the catch-22. Like, you want to run candidates who do this because it gives them a platform. Like, if an activist did this, she would not be invited on CNN. If she's the Green Party nominee, she gets invited on CNN. So you figure, all right, you take the platform. The frustrating thing about this year is that because it's Biden versus Trump, because it's two failed presidents running against each other, there was such a unique opportunity to do more than that, right? To be more than just an activist with a platform that the campaign gives you. There was actually an opportunity to break through, you know, and actually win a lot of votes and cause real chaos in the system. And neither she nor the Green Party seems capable of doing that. But as an activist, as an advocate, she's always been very strong. That's why a lot of people in this space really like her and really respect her in that way. And that was very well done. I mean, that's probably the first time CNN has heard an argument like that in a long time. They've done some good work in terms of, like, going on the ground in Gaza and just showing the atrocities of what's going on. But I haven't heard anybody go on CNN and actually articulate the underpinnings of Zionism in that way. You know, that's more philosophical as opposed to just breaking news. And so, yeah, she did well.
Yeah, making that distinction between Zionism and Judaism is key to the entire argument. We can't say that enough, that this is a bastardization of Judaism, that it is a political project disguised as representing Jewish people and culture and religion and history. And the one really has nothing to do with the other. And yeah, she made that case very well. Does she know that the Green Party is allowed to exist as a safety valve because it is an absurd organization? Does she know that? I don't know. She's usually on the right side of the issues. She presents her case very well. But I don't know, man. I mean, if you're that smart, you have not noticed that the Green Party is ridiculous. You haven't. Like, that just never crossed your mind. Hey, let's get the fucking lavender fucking people over. Go start your own lavender party, okay? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out. You're just dividing working people around culture nonsense. I've never heard her say anything like that. And until she does, man, we don't go after Jill Stein, but we don't try to steer people to her campaign either.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm happy to give her a shout out when she does something like that. She put her body on the line. She's a pretty small person to be, roughed up by the cops and manhandled by the cops there. Take some guts. Not the first time she's been arrested. She was arrested outside the Long Island debate between Hillary and Trump in 2016.
Yep.
Yeah. So, she's done this before. She's got a lot of credibility in that way. It's just a shame that when you convert that into the sort of electoral politics space, a lot of credibility goes away. Cornel West, same thing. People took him very seriously until he ran for president. That brings the shit out.
Destroyed his reputation.
Yeah,
destroyed him.
It just brings it out of you. Absolutely.
Please clap.